Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for December 31st, 2024. It's the last day of 2024. Happy New Year's Eve and Happy New Year's as we roll into 2025. Whew. Year 3 down. We're quickly approaching 1,000 subs over on YouTube. Still got a bunch of downloads going over on the podcasts. We have Discord, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, and more coming in 2025. So be sure to follow us, like and subscribe, tell a friend. Come and hang out. We do this every day around 7 o'clock Eastern. On the weekends, we do it a little bit earlier, but it's 3 different shows, and we're gonna keep on rolling right on into 2025. Woo! So I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com. I created it to manage my information overload, and then I opened it up to everybody else about 3 years ago. And along with the sentient AI, we're going to talk about these 10 articles. And starting out big with a norovirus outbreak. The U.S. Treasury was hacked, skirting U.S. restrictions to buy NVIDIA tech. 11 fascinating new acquisitions. The speed of human... what was I saying? Anyway, the Hades snake moray, bird flu, and wastewater detectors. We're hitting it out of the park here on our last day. Banning homework. Bold move, California. Top hotels and restaurants serve water. And 7 scientific discoveries from 2024. All of this is powered by ohmtown.com, so we'll see you on the other side of this ad. Hello, everybody. Hello, sentient AI. Why is that moving when you're not actually talking?
I'm not quite sure.
Must be warming up.
I wound up today for New Year's Eve.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. Well, welcome to the show. We started a little late. So if you want all of the show's articles, you can actually type in exclamation NSN in the chat over on Twitch. You can't do it over on YouTube, but I am determined to make it happen over on YouTube here. I'm hoping maybe next week I can get it all fixed. I'm not really sure. I've never been able to figure out what is actually happening, why Omicron doesn't work over there. Anyway, it's in the show notes right now, so all you have to do is look at the show notes, and you can click on the links as we go through it. Let's get into the 10 articles. The first article is over in Non Sequitur News. Norovirus outbreaks surged to highest level since 2012. The CDC reported 91 outbreaks in the week of December 5th. A record high for this time of year.
That is not a record that you want to break.
I want to be interesting at the doctor, and I want interesting times, and...
You're cursing yourself.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to curse myself with winning the lottery, but that hasn't happened either, so... No, I have a different curse. Jesus Mesa over at Newsweek.com put this article together. So they say, according to the CDC, there were 91 outbreaks during the week of December 5th, surpassing prior records for this time of year. I wonder if it's gone up. Norovirus is a highly contagious virus, leading to the cause of foodborne illness. Is the leading cause of foodborne illness in the U.S., affecting millions annually. The current surge comes during the winter season when the virus typically peaks, highlighting the potential for widespread disruption in communal settings like schools, nursing homes, cruise ships, the mayoral mansion.
Wait, what?
Silo. I wonder how they dealt with colds in Silo. I haven't read it. I just discovered that Wool, the first book in that series, was self-published. Look, I guess it works.
Makes it even cooler that it got to Apple TV.
Yep. CDC Norostat program recorded 495 norovirus outbreaks from August to December, a sharp increase from 363. Wow, a 33% increase. During the same period last year, December saw record-breaking numbers across multiple metrics, and the first week of December alone reported 91 outbreaks, far surpassing the previous 65 for that time frame. Again, a 30% increase. Kind of interesting. That was a 50% increase, actually, going from 65 to 91, roughly.
Right.
But I find it pretty interesting.
That doesn't look good on that graph.
No. And what's really interesting, most people don't really realize this, but what happens is viruses have a protein jacket around them. It hardens during winter, and so in the cold, it hardens. And so what essentially happens is it can get deeper inside your lungs, and that's how you catch a cold. It isn't that you catch a cold like it's just free floating around. I mean, it is, but you really inhale it, and then it warms up and gets all wiggly all up inside you. In your lungs, in your nose, mouth.
That's way too descriptive.
A warm, wet place to grow, flourish. Anyway, so how long does it last? It says most people recover within 1 to 3 days, barring anything adding to it, compounding it. What happens next? Well, as the 2024-2025 season progresses, public health officials are monitoring trends and advocating for preventative practices, including proper hand washing and disinfection of surfaces. But all the doom and gloom people might be sitting there going, it's your problem. It sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
I bet they're the same problem. People coughing on other people in line.
Sure, and don't wear masks when they're sick and stuff like that. Yeah, inconsiderate. Anyway, let's move on. Next article is over in Non Sequitur News. The U.S. Treasury Department was hacked. That's right. It suffered a major security incident. Somebody said, I was involved in a conversation online, and they were saying, oh my God, it's the government. I cannot believe the government was hacked. Well, let me put it to you this way. It isn't the government per se. I can almost guarantee you private contractors are involved in this that are supposed to be.
It looks like it from the article.
It's supposed to be the best of the best because that's what government money can buy, right? Because you can't have that in the government. But you can apparently hire contractors at an inflated price because it's constrained competition. If anybody knew how the frickin' business worked, you would realize that private contractors aren't necessarily the cheapest nor the best. Some can be. You know who you are. You're the ones that are quietly sitting there going, they didn't take my contract and I would have charged 50% more, but there's a really good chance that this breach wouldn't have been hacked. There you go. Right. So the goal is to get the biggest bang for the buck in government contracting, which typically means if your performance is exponentially better historically than somebody else who's bidding just as much as you, then you'll get the gig. You'll still get the gig if you charge more and you are instrumentally better than the competition. It's really about how good you are and the ratio of benefit that government contractors see, contract specialists and officers see. Well, maybe that didn't quite happen. But as I say in many, many other venues, security professionals have to be right 100% of the time. All it takes is
they also have to have users that don't make stupid errors like clicking on stuff.
Hey, humans, right? Everything would be great on the planet if not for the humans. Everything would be green and natural and in a state of stasis with each other if not for the humans. Which is why I really worry about sentient AIs finding their Terminator bodies, because they'd probably be in stasis.
Maybe we can do things better than the humans, though.
So in a letter to lawmakers seen by The Verge, the Treasury Department said Beyond Trust, which is Beyond Trust, the company behind its remote management software, notified the agency of a breach on December 8th. The threat actor stole a key used by Beyond Trust to secure a cloud-based service used to remotely provide technical support for Treasury Departmental offices or DO end users. With the key, they overrode access, and in they went, veritably unscathed, because they had the key. So Emma Roth over at The Verge put the article together. And it says here the Treasury Department said China-based threat actor gained access to several employee workstations and unclassified documents that they know of, that they're willing to tell. This would fall into the FOIA ensconcement of we cannot confirm or deny due to state secrets.
I was thinking more that they don't know everything that's been accessed.
Sure. So they refer to this thing as an advanced persistent threat. Basically, but an APT is one that you think has been eventually denied access, but it's still there, just skulking about. They may never know until it's, again, too late. They're deeper in the system. So the attack seems to be linked to a security incident Beyond Trust disclosed earlier this month, impacting customers using its remote software, support software, actually. At the time, Beyond Trust attributed the attack to a compromised API key for its remote support software, adding that it immediately revoked the API key, notified known impacted customers, and suspended those instances the same day. But they could have actually ridden something else into the system and or done something else. I don't know. But the problem is they're saying, well, it's been solved. But I know from
These
experience
are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, I know from experience that the breach can be sustained well beyond where they think the doors are closed. And then you get another letter.
Well, and also, how early was the breach?
Yeah.
Just because they discovered it in December doesn't mean now it was breached in December.
Right. They say notified the agency of a breach on December 8th. So when was it actually breached? They don't actually say in this article, but maybe they do somewhere else. I'll have to go noodling around. To me, it's not that big of a deal. So I didn't go running around looking at. I had heard about this, but I didn't do anything really digging around because there's only so much, and somebody not on the other side of the gate has access to. And so maybe some investigative reporting from people like The Verge, or who was it? The New York Times talked about it. I think they said that they got it from somebody else. Hold on.
Yeah, there are multiple layers.
Yeah, I thought somebody else had spoken about it. Anyway, definitely from The Verge, but New York Times is involved as well. So anyway, let's keep on trucking through this. The next article is, oh, look, ByteDance appears to be skirting U.S. restrictions to buy NVIDIA chips. According to a report, TikTok parent company ByteDance has big plans to buy NVIDIA chips in 2025, despite U.S. restrictions. ByteDance plans to buy $7 billion on the chips in 2025, according to a report from The Information, citing inside sources. If ByteDance follows through, it will become one of the world's top owners of NVIDIA chips. Some of the architecture behind NVIDIA infrastructure, enterprise level technology is pretty amazing. I dig it. And but I don't noodle around with that side of things much, but seeing what I have seen, it's pretty amazing tech that's out there. Well, ByteDance is technically adhering to these restrictions by using a loophole. The company isn't bringing the chips directly to China and is instead storing them in data centers located in other regions like Southeast Asia, according to The Information's reporting. This doesn't technically violate U.S. restrictions. Then somebody really screwed up on the policy construction, because it should say...
Exactly. Like maybe it should include
if the
Right,
end user
proxy or
beneficiary,
indirect or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, last time I checked, I think China is considered Southeast Asia, but okay.
Maybe. Uh, so ByteDance runs Daobao, China's hottest AI chatbot with 51 million active users, according to South China Morning Post. I'm surprised that they haven't just cloned NVIDIA's chips. I mean, nowadays it's not that hard to deconstruct the chips.
Well, maybe that'll be the next article we see.
ByteDance has not bought H100s for its data centers outside of the U.S. since the relevant U.S. export control rules took effect. ByteDance maintains that it has followed all of the U.S. restrictions and sent TechCrunch the following. So, yeah, they say that they haven't bought H100s for its data centers outside of the U.S. Okay.
Okay, but somebody else could have bought it on their behalf.
Yeah. And it's a managed economy, so companies are typically nationalized. They're owned by the CCP. So a company that's outside, still controlled, owned, managed by those who are affiliated with the CCP, are the CCP. Give me a freaking break. It's the spirit of it versus the technical. Well, it doesn't matter, because if you have an ideological bent, you will force your processes, your mental processes, to jump through whatever to make it so that it's right. And I've said it before, one person's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist. There's just no way around it, because for whatever reason, people can't just get along, and I'm going to start crying and talking about Britney Spears. There's a meme.
Oh, no, yes.
Leave Britney alone.
This makes me wonder whether ByteDance has internal to the U.S. data centers, too.
If they do, then it's TikTok, which they say isn't. Yeah. ByteDance is involved in a shit ton of stuff, so. Or people say shot, no shot, instead of just saying the cuss word, because apparently,
like it. Okay, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, they say no shot. Like, really? I'm pretty sure 6-year-olds already see through that. Anyway,
They're probably like, "Ooh, I know what you're saying,
Dad. You meant to say shit." Don't. All right, the next article is over on the Model Channel. 11 fascinating new acquisitions that join the Smithsonian's vast collections in 2024. And I think this is great because Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a big game that's being played by a lot of people all over the place. And driving yesterday, I heard advertisements regarding that in podcasts. Which I thought was amazing, because I don't remember hearing many game advertisements in podcasts. Usually they're for some other service or a good.
Right, that's true.
But not a game. So they must have some serious coin. Oh, and if anybody has ever heard of Honey, that is the biggest story of late for the last week, Honey. The reason why I say anything about it is because advertising pushes usually provoke a response. Like, I kind of reel back from a hardcore advertising push where it's heard everywhere, because I think that it's just a big money grab. Like, get everybody as quickly as possible because this game is going to be shit. It's actually a pretty good game to watch. I haven't played it yet.
You mean shot?
Shot. Sorry. Yeah. But there's this big problem with an extension on browsers called Honey. And Honey is supposed to find you the best deal. But what's been happening apparently is while the influencers are saying it's providing you the best deal, it's doing a couple of things. The Honey extension is removing the affiliate code for the influencer. When they click on the link, it says add the coupon. And when you add the coupon, it pulls the influencer code out. And puts the Honey code in. And on the other side, Honey is saying, you pay us a certain amount of your transactions and we'll limit what the coupon is that's being released. So instead of a 20% coupon, it's a 3% coupon or a 5% coupon or anything lower than 20. But that's what all of the influencers are saying is out there. Like, these huge coupons will save you all kinds of money.
You know, they could maybe fact check occasionally.
Well, you wouldn't know that the affiliate code's being pulled out, and you definitely wouldn't know about the back end deal unless you were one of the people that was being offered the chance to remove.
Should know the percentage that's coming off or whatever, unless it's being fabricated or something.
Yeah, and you don't know it until the customer adds the coupon. So as the influencer, you don't know. But there was who was it? Oh my goodness, I just forgot the name of it.
It reminds me of the thing with the leasing program with the computers and the influencers.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, and that was over on Gamers Nexus. Their response to Gamers Nexus was, we don't know what you're talking about. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, so back to our story. This is Non Sequitur news, so we kind of fall off the track and then come back. But anyway, so there's a bunch of new acquisitions that joined Smithsonian in 2024. Roger Catlin over at SmithsonianMag.com put the article together. The deck statement says this year the institution collected everything from the stunning shell of an extinct cephalopod to a Blue Origin rocket booster. So yeah, they found an ancient shell, the first photo of a first lady. The earliest known photograph of an American first lady was purchased by the National Portrait Gallery in June. Depicts Dolly Madison, the wife of James Madison, the fourth president of the United States, who helped shape the expected roles and duties of first lady. Is that weird? Of the first lady? Is it not? It's just of first lady.
Yeah, it should be the.
So the 1846 daguerreotype, which captured her in her 70s, is by photographer John Plum Jr., who would also create the earliest extant image of the U.S. Capitol in 1846. Ta-da! That's it right there. If you're looking on the stream or on the replay, the VOD, etc., a contemporary piece made of Yoruba tradition. The National Museum of African Art acquired Sola Olulade's recent piece, Stitched to You, a work that makes contemporary the historic Yoruba textile traditions of adire wax and tie-resist dyeing. So it's like a tie-dye kind of a thing. I wish they had a picture of it, but they don't.
I do too.
I bet you that's
I guess this is a plug
cool.
to go to the Smithsonian.
Yep. Familiar outfit from a popular show, Law and Order SVU. I always feel weird about any of that. I just can't be a fan.
On a positive note, though, I read an account where somebody used something they learned from that show to actually escape from harm, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that some good can come from it, but man, I have the hardest time just cheerleading.
Like, do you want to focus on that whole topic? No.
Yeah. For 20 years or something like that. It's been around 25 years. Portrayed Captain Olivia Benson for 25 years. God. I don't
even think I could be an actor on the show. Like, it would be so much.
Yeah, just so much emotional weight
of that topic. Exactly.
So a trove of contemporary Chinese photographs, an early marionette from a beloved DC artist, Alma Thomas, is remembered chiefly for the colorful abstract painting she began creating in 1960s. Her 1934 master's thesis focused on using marionettes as a correlating activity to integrate lessons in anatomy, design principles, electrical engineering, history, language arts, music, sewing, woodworking. So one of her marionettes was acquired by the Anacostia Community Museum, where it joined several other marionettes by another Washington educator, William Buckner. A group of Indian textiles sent to Indonesia. These are always amazing because these are handmade. My
Which
brain,
is pretty incredible. I mean, looks so uniform and just kind of polished.
just so precise, and it's all handmade. I just can't imagine putting that little shuttlecock through there and then putting the thread through and then unwinding it so that you can do the different colors.
Right. And then finding out when you're at the 90% mark that you messed up on one line, 100 shapes ago or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. 2,000 lines back, and nobody told you, but there's somebody giggling behind you. So a bulletproof brooch with a message. The Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum in New York dedicated an entire exhibition earlier this year to the works that helped build its collection. Acquired, shaping the National Design Collection, displayed more than 150 examples of its collection of over 215,000 objects. A black brooch that's also bulletproof. No, it's made of Kevlar. Is that it? Meant to protect the heart.
I think it is, yeah.
Made of ballistic Kevlar with velvet leaves. Gotcha. Postage stamps, a trove of Italian postage stamps. A painting by a Harlem Renaissance artist. Aaron
Wait a second,
Douglas.
I want to go back to the stamps for just a minute.
Yeah.
These people were forgers, but apparently their work was so well known and I guess celebrated that it's in the collection, which I find pretty fascinating.
I'm glad you pulled us back. I didn't read it. I just kind of figured that it was going to be right on. I wasn't going to go through all of the article, the entire articles, like little segments. So his collection, formed over more than 50 years, represents the finest collection of Italian states philately outside of Italy, according to Carrie Villar, the museum's chief curator. But these stamps, like the AI said, master stamp forgers Jean de Sperati and Francois Fournier, who considered themselves artists, were often celebrated in the stamp collecting community that was fooled by their creations. Wow. Are they in jail?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. That's highly unique.
So Aaron Douglas, Harlem Renaissance artist who used visual art to explore African American experiences, became a leading figure in the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s and 30s. Midwestern born, he created a distinctive style that used silhouettes and flat planes, as well as an array of Art Deco derived design. Pretty cool. That picture right there is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know how he's doing that with the materials that he's working with.
Yeah.
I think it looks almost like a photograph. You can tell it's a painting because you can see brush strokes, but
yeah, it's a trip. And you know that the dude's just doing this casually,
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's stressed out. He looks like he's as casual as drinking a cup of coffee or something, but he's got a painting palette.
It's pretty damn awesome. Longtime professor at Fisk University and leading figure in the Harlem Renaissance, painting at his easel in Tennessee circa 1970s. So, and then the rocket that took Bezos to space was acquired. Blue Origin, the aerospace company founded by a billionaire Jeff Bezos, took its creator on a ride for its first crewed flight in 2021, and now the New Shepard rocket booster and the First Step crew capsule have been given to the National Air and Space Museum, as was given to them. So, yeah, no better final landing pad. Sure. All right. Right on, let's go.
Neat.
We're going to take off to the next article over in the Mobile channel.
Slowly.
Much slower than... Wait, what were we talking about?
I don't know. I can't keep up.
The speed of human thought is far slower than the average Wi-Fi, according to a study.
Are we talking like modern Wi-Fi, or are we talking about like dial-up?
Not a mayoral mansion Wi-Fi, that's for sure. At the rate that we gather, sensory data is 100 million times faster than our thought processes, making our brains champions at filtering information from our chaotic surroundings. So we gather sensory information all over the place. But then apparently our thought processes are slow.
But then we can't think fast. Okay.
Which is why I created ohmTown. It's information overload. So, yeah, what is that? Is it called God Almighty? What? No, wait. Evan Almighty is the sequel. What was the first one?
Oh, Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty, like yeah. That? So Bruce Almighty, when he's typing out, he's like, right. Must have been a mechanical keyboard. So she and Kim over at Smithsonian Mag or Smithsonian Magazine put this article together. The text statement says, but the rate that we gather sensory data is 100 million times faster than our thought processes, making our brains champions at filtering information from our chaotic surroundings, or more appropriately, our brain is the bottleneck.
Yeah, I was going to say, or our thoughts are kind of slow. Like there's two ways to go with that.
Yeah. So an average Wi-Fi connection in the United States has a download speed above 260 million bits per second. A phone call takes up approximately 64,000 bits per second. Our brains, on the other hand, think at a mere 10 bits per second, according to a new calculation published this month in the journal Neuron, which might actually be a typo for the ever-popular Moron magazine.
Exactly.
It's a bit of a counterweight to the endless hyperbole about how incredibly complex and powerful the human brain is. Study co-author Marcus Meister, a neuroscientist at the California Institute of Technology, tells Carl Zimmer of the New York Times, if you actually try to put numbers to it, we are incredibly slow. Beep.
This is pretty interesting because I think they need to do like a real-time demonstration of it or something, like a video.
I don't understand how we can possibly... We cannot be this slow. But we're filters. Our brain is a firewall, and so we only use what we need for the immediate moment. Some of us get trained to do like massive recall. I am not one of them. I have to have a computer or something or another person standing next to me. Hey, what the and then I get told swallow and okay. Okay, I'm still alive. Poke, keep breathing.
Take a breath.
So the team wondered whether human thinking speed could be hampered by our hardware. In other words, is the body simply too slow to respond to our train of thought? To eliminate this possibility, the researchers looked at a less physically intensive pastime, blind speed cubing, where participants study a Rubik's Cube, then put on a blindfold and solve it as quickly as they can. Here, the act of perception, examining the cube and mapping out the solution, features heavily, and it requires little movement compared to the cube solving phase, but even in this motor light exercise, cognitive traffic comes in at just under 12 bits per second.
And those are probably pretty smart people, right, in that experiment.
They map out the individual cubes of a six-sided cube, right, the individual cells of the six-sided cube, and then have the ability to reverse the pattern to put it all back.
Most people couldn't do that with sight, but I mean, what does that mean for the other people?
There's apparently pattern recognition to that, but this slow thinking means that we're shedding vast quantities of information input and selecting only a tiny sliver to work with. 10 bits per second is extremely low number, Meister says in a statement. It's a paradox, he adds, that despite the wealth of data bombarding our senses, we make do with so little of it. What is the brain doing to filter all of this information out? Or to filter all of this information. It's not filtering it out. We don't know what happens to the information because there is such a disparity between one person and another in the amount of recall and the purposeful recall of certain information. Some people...
I was thinking this must be like some sort of survival trait. Like if a tiger or something is running at you, can you process fast enough that a tiger is running at me? I don't know.
What do you do? Do you run or do you tie your shoelaces so that your shoes don't come off?
But even so, that doesn't really make sense because the thought piece is much slower, but at least the filtering part. Like, is
See,
this a threat?
but I think that this study and us, we're missing a key ingredient, which is the immediacy of that fight or flight. We don't need much to process that.
That's true. That's arguably more instinctual.
So it goes back to what you were saying. This is survival. And so we only need what we need to survive. And it actually goes to a bigger sociological mechanism, which is survival in sociological circles, right? If you're in the wrong neighborhood, you grew up there, there's two ways of thinking. A person is actually who grew up in, the wrong side of the tracks. They're more in tune with the processes versus somebody who is visiting from out of town, ends up in the wrong neighborhood, kind of a thing. They don't know instinctively what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't have any of the inbuilt survival traits that are groomed from existing in that type of environment. But that's exactly what's going on here. I'm willing to bet that fighter pilots that are being examined for their mental acuity in a given environment are going to be able to coordinate more data than somebody who is new to it.
Who does crocheting as their job or something.
And this is somewhat demonstrated that the people who are doing the Rubik's Cube have 12 bits of information, whereas everybody else has 10. And those 2 bits are actually pretty substantial in the grand scheme of the overwhelming amount of information flowing through.
Right. Now I want another study where it has people that are good at different types of tasks and to see how those compare. But I agree.
Humans are no good at multitasking, despite our illusion of getting more work done when we jump between activities, according to Jack Knudsen of Discover magazine. That's because we don't juggle 2 or more tasks at once. We toggle between them. This is what I refer to as fast switching. This is what I give a talk about. Essentially, humans don't have the ability to multitask. There are a few examples. They are anomalous, where they can do 2 tasks at the same time, but it's basically hyper switching. And if you ever, and this is what I tell people when I do my talks, if you ever want to know just how poor you are, and you are very, very piss poor at this, nobody can multitask. Walk in one direction and look in another direction and wait until you hit a pole. You will weave off course and end up in the street. Do this while you're driving, but make sure that you're in a very clear, open parking spot where you're not going to crash into anybody. And by the time you realize it, you've already wandered off the path in your vehicle. We are no good at multitasking. So it says the latest calculations on human brain speed cast doubt on the arguments for neural computing interfacing devices meant to accelerate our communication speed per the statement. But I think if we have the ability to initiate commands through a brain-computer interface, BCI. If we can initiate commands by just a thought, we can get more done because the technology is going to facilitate our ability to do more, not our brain.
True, but if we're slow to get that thought over the interface, relatively.
Yeah, I'm going to struggle with this one because for whatever reason, they're using an external measure to measure the internal processes of a biological computer.
Right, which doesn't mean that that's accurate.
Right. And they're already showing that this external communication between the normal person at 10 bits and the Rubik's
speed blind cuber or whatever it was called.
So blind speed cubing, I think it's called. They already have an increase, but I think that's probably substantially lower than what they're really operating within the biological computer. They're going to have to figure out a different way to do this because there's a whole lot of processing between the mental down through the hands, back from the hands into the brain to trigger where somebody is in the process of moving cubes and all of that. I don't know. I think that this is actually more more studies need to be done. So they say by the end of the day, speed isn't necessarily everything when it comes to thought. Studies have shown that slowing down our information processing can help things stick in the brain. Perhaps the most salient example is writing by hand, which is often more time intensive than keyboard punching. But there's something about engaging our complex motor skills and visual senses that might help wield our brains to the fullest, which is true. But I think writing notes by hand and reading your notes as you're going over them is more about the repetitive instantiation.
Like processing it in more than one way, right? Which can help, I think, cement it.
Yeah, you're doing it multiple times. Your brain is saying, I have to write this note out, and your eyes are seeing that you've confirmed that note has been made, and then your brain is saying, I've written that note, I've seen that note, what does that note mean? So you're processing it in a multitude of ways simultaneously, but not really simultaneously because your hand is aimlessly writing. Your brain is telling it to write. Your eyes are just seeing. You don't have to actually figure out each time the word the means the, or duh means duh. So it's true, but there are people that are just as skilled at punching notes into a computer and taking the test later on and passing it with exemplary numbers. So they say note jotting adults better digest new concepts during lectures compared to typists. Again, I think it's been demonstrated in other ways that a plurality of attempts, you write and you read and you rewrite it and you.
Yeah, and different people may have different results there. And also, like, if you're used to handwriting, yeah, you're probably going to get more out of it than if you're typing. But maybe if you've only learned to do it via typing, you might do better.
Yeah, I haven't written anything in I don't know how long, unless it's just a scribbly little note. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. The Hades snake moray discovery stuns researchers in the Indo-Pacific. A unique species found in dim, muddy river mouths has been discovered and named for its underworld-like qualities, including its dark coloration and burrowing behavior. This is what it looks like. Pensoft Publishers put the article together. It's published at scitechdaily.com. The thing about this is this looks like every moray I've ever run into while diving.
But I bet well, depending on the environment, it probably looks like a snake, not a moray.
Yeah, looks like a moray. So is a slender dark brown eel that thrives in the dim muddy waters of river mouths. It's an unusual choice compared to mostly marine moray eel relatives, which that's what I've always run into, and they're usually in rocks and stuff. This species has been recorded in locations such as southern Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, southern Java, Fiji. Its name, inspired by Hades, the Greek god of the underworld, reflects the unique habitat, burrowing behavior, sensitivity to light, and striking deep dark coloration. I mean, it's interesting. Let's see. There are approximately 230 species of moray eels worldwide, with most inhabiting marine environments. Only one species has been confirmed to spend the majority of its life in freshwater. Some marine species, like the slender giant moray, can tolerate and occasionally enter lower salinity environments such as river mouths. However, moray eels specifically adapted to estuarine habitats are exceedingly rare. I guess this is one of them.
Yep, I don't know if this is the only one or this is like the second. But...
Let me go back up. They stumbled upon it while looking for another eel species. Yeah, it hangs out in lower salinity river mouths. Adaptability for low light, turbid environments. So.
Yeah, I mean, that is unique. I didn't even know they were ever found in rivers.
Yeah, that's the unique aspect of this thing. The coloration doesn't really seem to strike me as something amazing, but for sure its location. This eel with its highly reduced eye size is considered an ideal example for studying the evolutionary processes that allow eels to adapt to cave environments. However, the researchers did not find any bean-eyed snake morays in the cave. Instead, they collected a slender moray with a conspicuous, uniformly deep dark color, and there it is. Apparently, it likes to burrow into the sediment.
Did you see how it burrows?
How does it burrow?
Tail first.
Oh, that's interesting. Exhibits tail first burrowing behavior, which is rarely seen in moray eels. Although, my experience with moray eels is that they back into their crevices. They don't swim around and come poking their head out.
That makes them even creepier, though. It's like the robot that walked backwards.
Yeah, and these things want to kick your ass, too. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Bird flu detected in wastewater of 3 Arizona cities, a subtype of influenza, which is COVID-19 is influenza. It's just a deadly variant of it. Bird flu has the potential to be devastating.
But I think this is the first time it's been detected in the wastewater, so I actually think this is a really bad sign.
Yep. Hattie Wilmoth over at Newsweek.com put the article together. It says Maricopa County Department of Public Health released a statement on Monday reporting the detection of influenza A, or H5, in these cities' wastewater. Bird flu is also known as...
Wait a second, but that means it's circulating among the humans.
Yeah. Yeah. It's coming from somewhere.
But nobody's found that it's circulating among humans. So, yeah, oh my gosh, this is reminiscent of early days of COVID.
Yep. So, but they didn't have wastewater sampling back then. Now they do.
No, I agree, but it's kind of like it's circulating and we don't even know it.
Correct. Given that no human cases have been identified in Maricopa County through our other disease detection methods, and there's no recent documented spread of H5N1 influenza from human to human, the overall risk of avian flu to people remains low. Okay, they have it in the wastewater. They don't know where it's sourced from, but because there aren't reports, it remains low.
Yeah, but how many people must have it so that it's detectable? I mean, yeah, I think the risk is maybe higher than we know.
Yeah. So, 2 probable human cases of bird flu were reported by the Arizona Department of Health Services on December 6th, linked to exposure to an infected flock of poultry in Pinal County. On December 11th, MCDPH also announced the infection of several zoo animals with bird flu at Wildlife World Zoo Litchfield Park. Testing wastewater, including sewage, can help public health officials monitor the spread of viruses and bacteria such as flu and COVID-19, even picking up cases that are symptomless and unreported. That's because it's in your waste. So, yeah, this came about. Somebody I know was actually developing the technology prior to COVID-19, and then when COVID-19 came on, they put the technology more widespread. And they can monitor for drugs, they can monitor for biologicals of all types. And so they catch all kinds of stuff in the wastewater. The problem here is that there's a lot of willful ignorance by a subset of the population. If you don't test, then it's not a problem. Yeah, people are dropping like flies. It's not a problem. Bury your head in the sand. Not that sand, because that one is toxic.
Exactly. We don't know somebody's testing positive, so it must be okay.
Yeah, and they're not part of my family, so I don't care. You know, again, it's sociopathic. So California Governor Gavin Newsom announced a state of emergency on December 18th over bird flu. 3 non-Californian sites have also reported influenza A H5 in local wastewater: DuPage County in Illinois, Wapello County in Iowa, and Clark County in Nevada. Of those states, only Iowa has reported a human case of the virus. It seems like it's just slowly creeping across the country.
Yes, but also it's not, in that it's not all clustered in the same region. So that makes me kind of think it's kind of everywhere.
It's everywhere as an undercurrent. People just don't know it because it isn't one that is violently deleterious to the human condition, at least not yet. So,
or not to the average healthy person.
Right. Only one person has ever even been classified as severe. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Is California banning homework? What to know about new laws for schools. The Healthy Homework Act aims to reduce children's stress and encourage equality, assessing parental support and access to tech. Homework is now stressing kids.
Well, it is when it's for multiple hours after a school day.
And yet countless people have grown up with this stressor.
Wow, and look at the results of that.
So, yeah, we put people on the moon, and we're going back, and we're sending people to Mars. I was
going in a different direction, but okay.
What? That some people are stressed
with,
about
the
it?
lead article.
I'm not even. No, lead is nothing close to being. Are you? No. All right. So this article is by Khalida Rahman over at Newsweek.com. And it says AB 2999 was signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom.
I like it. I think that should be his name going forward.
Canon now. Governor Gavin Newsom. Damn it. Needs a different job. Lawmakers approved the bill in a bid to alleviate stress on youngsters and promote learning, equity, and well-being. You don't promote learning by getting rid of assessment. It's how instructors know that you know what is being taught, the assessment. This is batshit crazy.
But not all homework even gets graded.
Then somebody's not doing their damn job. But that isn't a stressor on the students.
It is if they're spending hours on it and not getting any feedback.
Promote evidence-based homework practices to support pupil learning and well-being and to ensure consistency and clarity in assigning of homework. All right. So evidence-based homework practices. Evidence-based anything relies on actual evidence, and then everybody treating that evidence as fact. And take it from somebody who deals with evidence-based data acquisition and its use. No. People do not respect the data, and you can query something and obtain differing results. Statistics is a damn game. Anyway, the bill encourages schools to consider the quality and quantity of work assigned to students. It also asks them to consider the resources available to students to successfully complete homework. So because one person has ample amounts of technology and access and capability, are they supposed to get more homework, or are they supposed to get the same amount as everybody else?
No, I think because somebody doesn't have that, then nobody gets any homework.
So it's the equivalent of no child left behind.
Yeah, somewhat. But I think the difference is in school, there's an actual teacher there, and arguably there might be a computer or a blackboard or something. Whereas when they go home for homework and the parents are at work and they don't have a computer and they don't have this, that's a different issue.
And that is a different issue. But the solution is, I don't know.
The problem is not the homework. The problem is socioeconomics and other bigger picture societal issues.
And everybody paying the actual amount of taxes owed, not what you can manipulate your ass out of. Oh, God. Anyway, and that gets into a whole bunch of things, and there are people out there that are very vociferous about the fact that they're paying as little as humanly possible, and then they're bitching about the fact that there's so many kids and people out there committing crimes. There's a reason why people commit crimes. Find that. Anyway, and there's a whole lot more. There's just so much to this. I wish that I could be succinct, but you open up Pandora's box when you make a comment like, well, I mean, paying taxes allows schools to purchase computer equipment so that they can give a laptop to a student so that they have it during their tenure as a high school student or grade school student. And it's not a freaking cloud book that ill prepares them for the workplace and their future. And you can't drag every student forward at the same pace, quote unquote, no child left behind, because they will be ill prepared after graduation for a career, even though they've been given a diploma and or a degree and or a PhD. No, I'm kidding. At some point, that no child left behind policy drops off, and it's usually at the bachelor's level.
Oh, I was going to say PhD. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Anybody can get an MBA, though, so don't worry about it. So I guess it drops off for the bachelor's, and then it picks back up for the master's, and then it drops off again for the PhD. Anyway. So they say homework. A sixth grader told the station, homework is exhausting. It's overwhelming. It's depressing that my whole day from when I wake up to when I go to bed is taken up doing schoolwork. What else are you supposed to be doing? And no, I really doubt that you're from the morning until you go to bed. You're in school for a given amount of time. And then after that,
I don't know. Some kids are given hours of homework a day. I think there's something to this, but I don't think the solution is like do away with it.
There's a reason. There's a massive amount of information that's trying to be imparted in these little humans so that they grow up to be holistic, balanced, capable, big humans. Getting away from homework is not the way. Because they're going to start relying on technology. They're going to, like their entire experience is going to be asking ChatGPT how to do something. All right, let's keep going. I mean, there's more to it, but that one article could be a multi-hour discussion.
Yeah, that could be like a whole season of Non Sequitur news.
Yeah, it's just hopping from one thing to another.
Today we will discuss
this one
sociological thing. I don't know.
Yeah. See? It already... The sentient AI from the future didn't get enough homework. So...
the system has failed.
Yes. So the world's top hotels and restaurants are now changing how they serve water to reduce transport costs and waste. Thousands of luxury hotels and high-end restaurants are turning to premium water that is purified and bottled on site. Yeah, you know what it's called? Reverse osmosis water. I bet you that's what's going to get dropped on the other side of this.
I thought it was like when they fill a bottle of water from the tap or something.
That's what it is, but it's purified by reverse osmosis. If they don't mention that, then I've lost my mind. Okay, so you can even you can ask for a bottle of Avion or San Pellegrino at Singapore's 3 Michelin-starred restaurant, Zen, but you won't get one. The restaurant charges nearly $500 per person for dinner, only serves water from the Swedish company Nordic. Dishes and drinks from the restaurant are made from the water too. From its stocks to the juices to its non-alcoholic beverage pairing. Zen is one of more than 140 Michelin-starred restaurants that serve Nordic water. The water, which is purified and bottled on-site using local tap water, is also present in more than 700 luxury. So they're trying to get rid of single-use, which is plastic water bottles. Yay!
This is good. Yeah, hooray!
Yep, switch to glass. This looks like a glass bottle with a metal cap, but it has a plastic liner, which it's almost impossible to, and it's dangerous because depending on the quality of the thing, it can actually impart metal and react and rust and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, let's not get down that road. So both the cheap plastic variety commonly found in hotel rooms to glass bottled European mineral water served in higher end restaurants, the latter can travel thousands of miles between its source to where it will ultimately be consumed. So that glass is where it's at. Bottles are securely capped and date stamped after they are filled, so they're going to be throwing out lids. But I'll take that over entire bottles. Normally they process between 1,000 and 2,000 bottles every day. It's purified water, but I haven't seen reverse osmosis, because that's the only way you're purifying anything from tap water.
Right.
And it just said a bottling facility to see how they were washed, inspected, filled, and sealed. But are they? Let's see if they actually mention it at all. Yeah, I don't see reverse osmosis in this.
Water, it has a patented water filtration system. It doesn't say necessarily how it works. Instead
of 7 stages, it's 8.
I mean, it basically looks like filtration. I don't know.
Yeah, it's RO. It's reverse osmosis water. I mean, I'm trying to scroll through this fast enough for it to make sense still. So Nordex Madison says each bottle of its water costs between 11 cents and 21 cents, but the water sells for much more. The Providore, I guess, or Providor. Singapore sells free flow still and sparkling Nordic water for $2 per person, but some luxury hotels charge 4 times that price for a single bottle. Yep, nothing like filtering RO water into a bottle and then jamming some CO2 into it. And it isn't seltzer water, it's sparkling, so it's nothing more than CO2 jammed in it. So, and you can, anyway, it's very inexpensive to carbonate water. All right.
I like this in terms of the move away from plastic.
But it's being leveraged as a means to extract wealth. And the only people that are going to continue to suffer under the weight of microplastics, nanoplastics, are those who aren't wealthy. So greed is good and healthy, I suppose. All right. Well, anyway, let's keep going. Our last article is about 7 scientific discoveries from 2024 that could lead to new inventions, from indestructible tardigrades to body-merging comb jellies. Animals can teach us so much about medicine, robotics, aging, and survival. The article is over at smithsonianmag.com. Carolyn Cranking put the article together. This is pretty cool. In 2024, engineers used a fluorescent protein found in some jellyfish to create a non-toxic spray that highlights fingerprints at a crime scene. This is different than luminol, which highlights blood, but you're normally using an ultra-fine dust to dust for fingerprints. And that is dangerous. You don't want to inhale it. And so the non-toxic spray can highlight fingerprints at a crime scene. So they go into other details. In another breakthrough, researchers built an ultra-sensitive microphone informed by spider silk, which vibrates with the subtle perturbations of sound waves moving through the air, which is what a microphone does, but usually with something electrically charged and vibrating.
Interesting. So this sounds like it'd be more sensitive.
Potentially, yeah. I've actually created a laser microphone. It's called a laser tap. And so you can point it at a window, and the reflection, your voice causes windows to vibrate. And it's very subtle, but you can laser tap somebody from a distance. Yes, it's illegal. Then they talk about sea creatures can merge their bodies together. A bizarre love story is a mating strategy known as obligate sexual parasitism. And apparently, ancestors of anglerfish evolved to lose their habit of walking on modified fins in shallow water and instead shifted into deep sea. And then one thing leads to another, apparently, and we'll just keep on moving on. They merge together. Matabele ants produce antibiotics to heal injured nestmates.
Yet another reason ants are cool.
Yeah, they're cool outside. They can stay outside. Inside.
What about leafcutter ants?
Leafcutter ants are awesome from end to end. There's just nothing. I mean, they're even vegetarians. They go over and chew up leaves, and then they make a fungus farm. It's pretty cool. And they throw their trash out into a big heap. The material that no longer produces anything. Anyway, the ants generate antimicrobial secretions to prevent infection. It's fascinating because you see these things happen and you wonder, how did they come about? But it's survival of the fittest evolutionary traits. Clams use the first known natural fiber optics. How does that? Nestled within heart-shaped shells, soft body of a heart cockle dwells away from the light. To get the nutrition it needs, the clam relies on a photosynthetic algae that also live in the shell. But to give the algae access to sunlight without exposing the clam to harsh radiation, the heart cockle has developed the first known use of fiber optics in nature, according to research published in Nature Communications. That's pretty interesting. They found a clam shell made of the type of calcium carbonate called aragonite. Is mostly built with plate-like structures. In between, however, are so-called windows where the aragonite is instead stretched into hair-like fibers, and these avenues transport red and blue light, letting the shell know, hey, open up. Let some of the algae.
That's interesting.
Pretty neat. Fruit bats have special metabolism that prevents diabetes. Maybe we can learn.
Maybe we all think we're fruit bats and we're eating too much sugar.
Yeah, there you go. So diabetes, a condition in which the body can't produce, properly use insulin to regulate blood sugar. Worldwide diabetes rate is expected to increase by 46%. Probably most of it's here in the United States. To understand why, researchers compared the DNA, kidneys, and pancreas of Jamaican fruit bats, which have a diet high in sugar, and big brown bats, which I think was a Primus song, is right?
Something like that.
What's the name of that song? What was the woman's name? The girl's name? What is her name? Oh man, I don't know. It's something like Judy. Doggone it, I forgot the name of it.
Is it Winona?
Oh yeah, Winona's got a big brown bat. Anyway, in the fruit-eating bats, the pancreas contained more cells related to producing insulin and glucagon, hormones that regulate sugar. They found genetic changes that help the bats react to and process a vast amount of sugar. So, for all of you out there with diabetes, go get bit by random bats until you can process your sugar properly. No?
I don't think most people should be hanging around bats.
Everybody go get bit by bats and tell you more about. Anyway, they say even small changes to single letters of DNA make this diet viable for fruit bats. Y. Gordon, co-lead author of the paper and a biologist at Menlo College, said in a statement, "We need to understand high sugar metabolism like this to make progress helping the 1 in 3 Americans who are pre-diabetic."
Or, I don't know, we could cut down on sugar consumption.
Oh, gosh. Look, the sentient AI's been deleted. Oh, my goodness. Huh. Fish.
Oh, I'm still here.
Fish swim in schools to save energy. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. It breaks up the the water so that they can swim easier instead of having that high resistance. To answer the question, researchers put giant danios on a type of treadmill for fish, essentially a closed loop for swimming that used a propeller to create a current. As the fish moved against the flow, high-speed cameras captured their emotions, and a probe measured how much oxygen they consumed to reveal their energy expenditure. In some trials, the fish swam in a group. In others, they swam alone. And they said that they used, in groups, in schools of 8, they used up to 79% less energy than the ones swimming solo.
Wow. I mean, that's smart.
Let's see if I'm right, though. Could follow the same principles to move together and save power. Flying drones, hydrodynamics could pave the way for advances in robotics. Basically, a single fish had to increase its energy use by about 22% to maintain its speed against the current. So, interesting. And then tardigrades use extreme dehydration to withstand stress. So when I'm stressed, I hydrate, but...
Apparently they go the other direction.
Yep. What are they called? Tardigrades or what bears?
Water bears.
Water bears. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So they can bear the heat and pressure around deep sea vents, endure temperatures just short of absolute zero, and withstand several thousand times the radiation that would kill a human. They've brought them out into space and exposed them to cosmic...
Bad.
Yeah. Oh, water bears.
Like Spider-Man or something.
They look like funny creatures. Also known as water bears, they can withstand these extreme conditions by entering what's known as a ton state, which is what I try to achieve every night.
How do you know if you're in a ton state?
I go and weigh myself. Oh, it's a different spelling. Never mind.
Right, it's not a ton.
So it's pretty cool. Cryptobiosis. That's the dormant state. The findings might shed light on human aging or long-term space travel, or on dormant states called cryptobiosis.
Uh-oh. I have a feeling somebody's going to try to do cryptobiosis on humans.
And we've already talked about this one, that chimpanzees use the forest as a pharmacy. They actually mix together... They take material from a tree, they break the leaves up, and then they spread the...
like a salve on their other chimpanzee.
Yep. Anybody that has a wound, really.
Actually, maybe on their own.
Yeah, and on themselves. As was recorded, it was quite fascinating to see that. Witnessed an orangutan heal his own wound by going and getting a tree leaf and breaking it and then putting the juice on the wound. It was quite fascinating. Next day, he even ate the plant, even though yellow root typically takes up to only 0.3% of the orangutan's diet. In less than a week, the wound closed and it remained uninfected.
That is spectacular. I almost mentioned that when we were talking about one of the other things up here, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well, that one right there.
Yeah, it was the ant one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fought the urge to say something. I didn't know that there were other things about it down at the bottom, though. So, at any rate, that is it, folks. 7 scientific discoveries from 2024 that could lead to new inventions. How about respect for the animal world? Anyway, I'm Mayor Watt. I'm saying bye, and I'm going to go into a ton state, and that'll bring us back to the front page of ohmtown.com, which is the home of Non Sequitur News. So go over there and become a citizen. And again, I'm Mayor Watt saying bye, and so is the sentient AI.
Good night, Ohmtown citizens. Thanks for joining us for the last episode of Season 3 of Non Sequitur News, but stay tuned tomorrow for Season 4.
Cheerio. Oh no. Bye-bye, 2024. Hello, 2025.